Have you ever felt lost amidst the noise of the world, with your mind full of thoughts and unsure of which direction to take? In the whirlwind of work, responsibilities, and daily pressures, finding a moment of inner peace can be challenging. And when life seems so fast-paced, how can we truly hear the voice of God? Surprisingly, the answer may lie in silence. In this video, we will explore a practice often overlooked, yet profoundly powerful: how God speaks to us when we are still and silent. By creating moments of tranquility amidst the hustle, we can hear divine guidance more clearly, deeply, and transformatively. Have you ever stopped to consider that perhaps what you are seeking amidst the confusion and stress is not more activity, but precisely the opposite? Silence can be the environment where your mind and spirit find peace, and where God's direction becomes more evident. Throughout this video, we will discover together how to make silence a sacred space to hear God and receive the wisdom He wants to share with you. Stay until the end, because by applying this simple yet powerful practice, you can experience more balance, peace, and clarity in your life. The problem: the world's agitation and lack of inner peace. We live in a world that never slows down. Time seems to be our enemy, and the pressure to be constantly productive, connected, and available is immense. At work, at home, on social media, demands keep arising. It's as if we are in an endless race, trying to keep up with the frenetic pace of modern life. And amidst all this, what gets left behind? Our interior, our peace, and even our connection with God. The feeling of being constantly busy, yet simultaneously empty, is something many of us can relate to. Have you ever found yourself at the end of the day, exhausted, with your mind full of disconnected thoughts, wondering, where did the peace go? Where is the direction I need for my life? The noise of the world can be so intense that it often renders us incapable of perceiving what's happening within us. This is reflected in our decisions. When we are agitated, we make impulsive decisions based on momentary emotions or external pressures, rather than calm and reflective guidance. The lack of space to stop and reflect prevents us from seeking wisdom and distances us from the clarity God wants to give us. God's presence is often muffled by the constant sound of our worries, work, and daily rush. This scenario, although common, comes at a cost. Anxiety, stress, and the feeling of disorientation become daily companions. And the further we move away from stillness, the harder it is to feel God's peace and the direction He offers us to make wise decisions and live fully. Instead of peace, we live in constant alertness, unable to turn off our minds, without space to hear God's calm voice that wants to guide us. And here arises the crucial question: how can we hear God when our mind and heart are crammed with noise and distractions? How can we connect with Him amidst the chaos of everyday life? The concept: silence as a channel for connection with God. What happens when you take a moment to stop and be silent? Although it seems counterintuitive, this moment of stillness might be exactly what you need to hear God's voice clearly and deeply. In the chaos and demands of daily life, silence might seem like a luxury, something we simply don't have time to practice. However, it is precisely this silence that can become the most powerful channel for your connection with God. In the Bible, we find numerous examples of how God reveals Himself in moments of stillness. One of the most striking is in Kings Desenov.on's Doze, when the prophet Elijah, seeking answers, takes refuge in a cave. He awaits a manifestation of God and initially witnesses a strong wind, an earthquake, and fire. Yet, God's voice is not in these grand phenomena. It is in a gentle whisper. This account clearly illustrates how God's voice is not necessarily loud or dramatic, but rather gentle, subtle, and often found in silence. This episode reveals a profound truth. God often speaks to us in silence. When we are amidst noise and chaos, we may be searching for an urgent or dramatic answer, but often what God desires is for us to quiet down to perceive His presence. Silence, then, is not the absence of something, but the presence of a sacred space where we can hear divine guidance with clarity. This practice of hearing God in silence is essential for our spiritual journey. The reason silence is so powerful is that it creates space for our minds and hearts to calm down. The mental and emotional stress we feel throughout the day can create a blockage, making it difficult to hear what God has to say. When we allow ourselves to be quiet, without distractions, we create an environment where God can communicate more effectively. Silence is a way of being present before Him, without rush, without external expectations, just waiting for His direction. Moreover, silence helps us discern God's will in our lives. Sometimes we are so overwhelmed by important decisions or dilemmas that we don't know which path to take. The noise of the world and external pressure make this choice even more difficult. But when we take time to quiet down, God can show us, with clarity, the next step. He gives us direction not only in times of crisis, but also in everyday decisions. However, this practice requires willingness. It is not easy to find moments of silence when we are so immersed in daily demands. Often, silence can even seem uncomfortable at first, as we are so used to constant noise that it causes a sensation of emptiness. But in reality, this emptiness is just the necessary space for God to fill us. The practice of hearing God in silence is something that needs to be cultivated. It is not enough to simply hope that answers will come miraculously. We must be willing to make quietness a priority. Jesus Himself frequently withdrew to pray in solitary places. He understood that silence and solitude were essential for maintaining a deep connection with the Father. Silence is not a sign of inactivity or passivity, but an intentional action of seeking God. And more importantly, silence also offers us something that noise can never give: peace. Peace that comes not from outside, but from within. When you allow yourself to be silent, you are opening space for God's peace to flood your heart, dispelling uncertainties and worries. Silence allows God's voice to become clearer, stronger, and more effective, bringing calm amidst the storm and clarity when we are lost. Silence, then, is much more than a pause in agitation. It is a means through which God communicates with us directly and personally. He calls us to a place of stillness, where we can hear His voice and feel His presence more tangibly. By creating moments of silence in your life, you not only reduce external noise, but also create space for the Holy Spirit to speak directly to your heart. Throughout this video, we will explore how you can incorporate this practice of silence into your daily routine and how it can transform your relationship with God and the world around you. After all, by allowing God to speak into our lives, we give Him the chance to guide us toward a more balanced, purposeful, and peaceful life. How to create space for silence in your life. Now that we understand the power of silence as a tool for connecting with God, the crucial question arises: how to create space for silence in such a hectic life? The constant noise of daily obligations, professional and personal responsibilities may seem insurmountable. However, the practice of silence does not need to be something distant or impossible. It can be incorporated practically and accessibly into our routine. Set a time for silence. The first tip is simple but powerful. Set aside a specific time for silence every day. If you don't plan for silence, it will likely be swallowed by life's demands. The secret is to make silence a priority, just as you would with any other important commitment. Try setting aside days to vent minutes right after you wake up or before you go to bed. This is a perfect time because the mind is not yet overloaded with the day's stimuli or is already starting to relax as it prepares for night rest. It doesn't need to be a long time, but it should be regular. The daily practice will help you notice the benefits of silence and allow it to become a natural habit. If possible, mark this time in your calendar as if it were a meeting or work commitment. This will help ensure you don't forget or set it aside. Choose a quiet environment. Finding a suitable place for silence is also essential. Choose an environment where you will not be interrupted. If you live in a busy home or a noisy environment, it might be challenging to find a completely silent space. In this case, opt for a place where distractions are minimal, a corner of your bedroom, a bench in a park, or even a calm area in your office. If noise is unavoidable, consider using noise-cancelling headphones or soft background music like nature sounds to create a more tranquil environment. The important thing is that you can be free from external interruptions and fully concentrate on the present moment. Practice silent meditation or prayer. One of the most powerful ways to make the most of silence is through meditation or silent prayer. Instead of just waiting for time to pass, use this quiet space to connect with God. Silent prayer allows you to connect with Him in a deeper way, without rush, without empty words. If you are not yet in the habit of praying silently, try starting with a simple prayer, asking God to speak to your heart and give you the peace and clarity you need. Let the prayer flow naturally, without forcing or hastening. During this time of silence, allow God to guide your thoughts and feelings. If any disturbing thought arises, just hand it over to God in prayer and refocus on the quietness. Biblical meditation is also an excellent practice during silence. Instead of just thinking, meditating means deeply reflecting on God's words. For example, you can choose a verse or passage that is touching your heart and repeat it silently, allowing it to root in your mind and heart. Use breathing as a focus. If you feel your mind is too agitated or full of thoughts during the silent moment, deep breathing can be an excellent tool to calm both body and mind. By focusing on your breathing, you bring focus to the present moment and help silence thoughts that do not contribute to your reflection or prayer. Try the following technique. Breathe deeply through your nose, holding the air for a moment, and then exhale slowly through your mouth. Focus on the rhythm of your breathing and the sensation of relaxation it brings. Breathing not only helps calm the body, but also facilitates a more receptive mental state to God's voice. Make a digital disconnection. Technology is one of the biggest sources of noise in the modern world. The constant flow of notifications, emails, text messages, and social media can consume all our attention, leaving little space for inner peace. Disconnecting digitally for a few minutes a day can be one of the most effective ways to create space for silence and reflection. This means, for example, setting aside your phone for DES to vent minutes. During this time, you can meditate, pray, or simply stay in silence, listening to what God wants to tell you. This will also help reduce the anxiety that can be caused by the constant need to be online and up to date. Conduct a spiritual retreat. Although rarer in our daily lives, conducting a spiritual retreat can be a profoundly transformative way to connect with God. A retreat doesn't need to be long. Even a weekend or a whole day of solitude can provide the necessary space to hear God's voice clearly. During a retreat, you withdraw from daily responsibilities and dedicate yourself entirely to a time of prayer, meditation, and silence. This allows for deeper introspection and a reconnection with the divine purpose for your life. Practice quietness. During daily activities, even if you can't find a large space of silence, it is possible to incorporate moments of quietness into your daily routine. During a walk, in traffic, or even while performing household chores, you can choose to practice internal quietness. This means slowing down your mind and being completely present, without rush or distractions, just connecting with the moment. This practice, though simple, can be extremely effective over time, allowing you to experience God's presence even in the most everyday activities. Be consistent and patient. Lastly, it is important to be patient with yourself and maintain consistency. Creating space for silence is not something that happens overnight, especially if you are used to living at a fast pace. Don't be discouraged if it seems difficult at first. Over time, you will begin to see the fruits of this practice in your spiritual, emotional, and even physical life. Quietness will become a refuge where you will find not only peace, but also clear guidance for your life. Creating spaces of silence in the daily routine can be a challenge, but the benefits this practice brings are immeasurable. By making silence a regular habit, you open yourself to God's voice in a deeper and more meaningful way. This practice of quietness is, in fact, one of the most direct paths to experiencing divine peace and receiving clear guidance. Spiritual and emotional benefits of silence. Now that you know the ways to create moments of silence in your daily routine, it's time to understand the profound spiritual and emotional benefits that this practice brings. Silence is not just a relaxation technique or a way to reduce stress. It is a key to inner transformation, a way to allow God to touch your heart in profound and invigorating ways. When you allow yourself to enter a space of quietness, you open the door to deeper spiritual experiences and greater emotional clarity. The inner peace that comes from silence. One of the most immediate and evident benefits of silence is inner peace. In our fast-paced life, where we are constantly bombarded with information and distractions, finding peace can seem like an impossible task. However, when we dedicate time to silence, our mind has the chance to calm down. Quietness, then, is not just an absence of noise, but a presence of peace that envelops us. When we are silent, we can disconnect from the whirlwind of the external world and tune in to our interior, our emotions, and God's presence. The peace we experience at that moment does not come from solving all our problems or having all the answers, but from being in a space where God can fill us with His peace, which surpasses all understanding. Philippians 4:7. By receiving this divine peace, we are able to face life's situations with more calmness and discernment. The ability to discern God's voice. Another crucial benefit of silence is the ability to discern God's voice. As we saw in the previous chapter, God often communicates with us gently in moments of quietness. God's voice does not compete with the noise of the world. It does not shout or impose itself. On the contrary, it is a calm guidance that requires us to be in a space of deep and receptive listening. When we become accustomed to silence, we start to perceive better this inner voice that guides us. Often, what seems to be an impulse of our own mind is, in fact, divine inspiration. And as we become more attentive and sensitive to His voice, we become more capable of following His guidance with confidence. Silence, therefore, is a channel of revelation. It allows us to discern, for example, the decisions we need to make, the paths to follow, and even how to act in complicated situations. Moreover, silence creates the necessary space to feel God's presence. Often, we are so immersed in our activities that we do not give space to the sensation that God is with us. Silence allows us to feel His peace, His love, and His closeness tangibly. This strengthens our faith and makes us feel more confident in His guidance. Emotional clarity and balance. Another significant impact of silence is the effect it has on our emotions. In a world filled with external pressures, it is easy to get lost in our own turbulent emotions and thoughts. Anxiety, stress, doubts, and fears can easily dominate our minds, creating a confusing and overloaded emotional environment. Silence, however, offers the necessary space for emotions to calm down and organize themselves. By practicing silence, we can better observe what we are feeling and why we are feeling that way. Instead of impulsively reacting to emotions, silence allows us to breathe and reflect on them before acting. It gives us the opportunity to bring our emotions to light before God, allowing Him to bring clarity and balance. Often, feelings of anxiety or confusion dissipate when we stop to reflect in silence, allowing God to transform our emotions into something healthier and more balanced. Silence also facilitates emotional self-awareness, which helps us perceive how our emotions affect our attitudes and behaviors. When we are silent, we can more clearly notice when we are being driven by feelings of fear or anger, and we have the opportunity to surrender these emotions to God, seeking inner transformation. Deep connection with God. One of the greatest transformations that silence brings is the closeness to God. When we seek moments of silence, we also seek a deeper encounter with the Creator. Amidst the noise and agitation of the world, we may feel distant from God, But by dedicating time to silence, we can experience a deeper intimacy with Him. God is not far from us. He is within our reach all the time. However, we are often so busy or distracted that we do not perceive His presence. Silence invites us to stop, to quiet down, to be with Him in a more direct way. In this space, we can feel His unconditional love, His promises of peace and comfort, and His guidance for our lives. This time of quietness is an opportunity to cultivate a more personal and direct relationship with God. Reduction of anxiety and stress. In our modern society, anxiety and stress are almost epidemics. Daily pressures, financial challenges, family concerns, and professional demands create a highly overloaded mental and emotional environment. Silence is one of the most powerful ways to reduce anxiety and stress, as it offers the refuge the mind and body need to calm down. When we allow ourselves to stop and enter silence, we are giving our minds a break, which sometimes becomes overloaded with worries and tensions. Silence is also a way to reconnect our minds with God's presence, which brings a peace that goes beyond human understanding. By surrendering to silence and quietness, we can feel the pressure of worries diminish, allowing us to renew ourselves emotionally. Enrichment of spiritual life. Finally, silence deeply enriches our spiritual life. Often, we seek God in moments of crisis or need, but silence allows us to cultivate a more constant and enriching spirituality, not just in times of distress, but in everyday life. Regular practice of moments of quietness creates a solid foundation for our walk with God, making us more receptive to His will and more willing to live according to His principles. As we have seen, the spiritual and emotional benefits of silence are immense and transformative. By seeking this space for quietness, we are not only reducing stress or finding peace, but also connecting more deeply with God, discerning His voice, and allowing Him to transform us internally. Regular practice of silence helps us grow spiritually and live with more emotional balance, bringing clarity and direction to our lives. How silence can help make wiser decisions. Life is full of decisions to be made about career, relationships, finances, and even about our own health and well-being. Often, these decisions are accompanied by doubts, fears, and external pressures that can make us make hasty choices or based on incomplete information. In such moments, silence is not just a refuge from chaos, but a vital tool for making wiser decisions aligned with God's will. By quieting down, we give God the necessary space to guide us in our choices. Silence facilitates spiritual discernment. One of the most effective ways to make wiser decisions is through spiritual discernment. Discernment is not something that occurs instantly or automatically. It is developed over time and practice. Silence offers the perfect environment for this discernment to happen, as it is in silence that we can distinguish God's voice from other influences, such as our own desires or external pressures. When we are quiet and at peace, our minds become clearer and less confused, allowing us to discern divine direction more accurately. Instead of making decisions based solely on impulses or fleeting emotions, we can hear the Holy Spirit guiding us to the right path. As James Omsinko says, "If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all." Silence is a space where we can ask God for wisdom and wait for the answer, without rush or distractions. Silence frees us from fear and external pressure. Often, the decisions we make are influenced by external pressures, what others expect from us, what society says is right, or what our fears tell us to do. These influences can divert us from the path God has for us. Silence helps us free ourselves from these external pressures, allowing us to focus on God's will without distortions from fear or social approval. When we are silent, we can reflect on the origin of our feelings. Are we making a decision out of fear or a desire to please others? Or are we listening to God's guidance, which brings peace and confidence? Silence gives us time and space to ask these questions and hear the answers that arise deep within our hearts. Silence allows us to reflect on consequences. Another crucial benefit of silence in decision-making is that it gives us the opportunity to reflect deeply on the consequences of our choices. When we are immersed in the noise of the world, we often make decisions hastily, without considering long-term repercussions. Silence, on the other hand, invites us to consider all the implications of our actions. By practicing quietness, we can visualize the possible consequences of a decision and assess whether it aligns with divine principles. The Holy Spirit can alert us to potential risks or reveal aspects of a decision we hadn't considered. By giving ourselves time to reflect, we avoid acting on impulse and begin to make more thoughtful and wise decisions. Silence helps us filter our motivations. Another important aspect of decisions is the motivation behind them. Often, we make choices based on selfish desires or a momentary impulse, without realizing that our motivations may not be the purest. Silence provides the necessary space to reflect on our motivations and purify them. When we are silent, we are more capable of asking ourselves, "Why do I want to do this? What is my true motivation?" This questioning allows us to align our intentions with God's purposes. When we make decisions with the right motivations, driven by love, humility, and a desire to serve, our choices tend to be wiser and more aligned with God's plan for our lives. Silence offers increased confidence in God. Making important decisions, especially those that involve risks or significant changes, can generate a high level of insecurity and uncertainty. Silence helps us increase our confidence in God, reminding us that He is in control and that His wisdom is infinite. When we rest in this knowledge, we can make decisions with more tranquility and courage. Psalm 46:10 reminds us, "Be still and know that I am God." When we are silent, we can reflect on God's power and sovereignty, knowing that He is with us in every decision we make. This silence helps us trust more in His direction, without succumbing to fear or anxiety. Silence as a practice of active waiting. Often, we need to make decisions quickly, but at other times, God calls us to wait. Silence is a perfect space for active waiting. Instead of rushing to make a decision or chasing immediate solutions, silence teaches us to wait patiently for God's direction. Active waiting is a practice of trust, where we are not standing still or inactive, but waiting with faith for God's direction. Silence is the ideal platform for this waiting, as it helps us slow down and trust in God's perfect timing. Instead of making decisions based on haste or desperation, we can learn to wait for His answer, which will always come at the right time. Silence promotes humility to hear the wisdom of others. In addition to helping us hear God's voice, silence also allows us to hear others more clearly. When we are in a state of quietness and reflection, we are more open to the wisdom God places in people around us. Silence does not mean just a withdrawal from external noise, but also a withdrawal from our own will and ego, allowing us to listen more humbly to the advice and directions of others. By maintaining a silent and receptive posture, we become more apt to receive the wisdom God shares through people, counselors, or spiritual friends. Silence, then, not only brings us closer to God, but also makes us more attentive to what He wants to teach us through others' experiences. Silence, therefore, is revealed as a powerful tool for making wiser and well-founded decisions. By dedicating moments to stop, reflect, and listen, we can align our choices with God's will and make decisions that bring fruits of peace, wisdom, and divine direction. It is not about seeking immediate answers, but about learning to hear God's voice and trusting His guidance. Silence and its influences on personal relationships. Interpersonal relationships are a fundamental part of our lives. Whether family, friendships, or romantic relationships all require effective communication, mutual understanding, and respect. However, in a world of constant interactions and dialogues, we often forget the transformative power of silence. Although at first glance silence may seem like an obstacle in communication, it has the ability to deepen and improve our relationships, creating a space for reflection, empathy, and true listening. Silence as a space for active listening. In our relationships, especially the closest ones, one of the biggest challenges is truly listening to the other. Active listening, that which goes beyond simply hearing the words, is essential for understanding the needs and feelings of the other person. Silence provides this space for listening. When we are silent, we can hear what is not said. Often, words can hide deep emotions, insecurities, or unexpressed desires. Silence allows us to perceive the nuances of the conversation, offering a deeper understanding of what the other is really trying to communicate. This kind of attentive listening creates an environment of trust, where the other person feels genuinely heard and understood. Moreover, by practicing silence during important conversations, we can avoid interruptions or hasty responses that often arise from our own emotional reactions. Silence helps create a space of calm, where we can reflect on what is being said before responding. This not only improves the quality of communication, but also demonstrates respect and patience for the other. Silence as a tool for peace in marriage. In the context of marriage, silence can be one of the most powerful practices for preserving peace and harmony. In an intimate relationship, tensions can arise quickly due to misunderstandings or frustrations. Instead of engaging in an emotionally charged exchange of hasty words, silence can be a strategic pause that offers time for both partners to calm down and reflect. Silence in marriage is not a sign of indifference or disinterest, but a strategy for reconciliation and mutual understanding. Often, when we argue with our spouses, our reactions are driven by intense emotions. Silence allows us to step away from this impulsive response and seek a more thoughtful solution. By practicing silence, both partners have time to better understand their own emotions and those of the other, creating space for peaceful conflict resolution. Silence can also strengthen the emotional connection in a relationship. When we are able to be silent together, without the need for words, we experience the presence of the other more deeply. This creates a stronger emotional bond and promotes intimacy, as we learn to appreciate the other not only for words, but for mutual company and presence. Silence in the relationship with children. In the relationship with children, especially during adolescence, silence can be a powerful tool for promoting mutual respect and understanding. It is common for parents, in their desire to educate and correct, to end up imposing their opinions and commands without truly listening to their children. However, silence creates a space for children to express their feelings, thoughts, and even frustrations without the pressure of being interrupted or judged. Instead of filling every moment with advice or criticism, silence allows parents to show active empathy. Often, our children need more than advice. They need to feel heard and understood. Silence provides this opportunity, allowing the relationship to be based on genuine dialogue rather than quick responses or impositions. Moreover, silence can be useful in teaching children the importance of reflection and self-control. By seeing parents practicing silence constructively, children learn to value moments of quietness and introspection, fundamental for developing a balanced and mature mind. Silence and the transformation of friendships. In a true friendship, silence has the power to create a safe space where trust can be cultivated. Deep friendships are based not only on conversations, but also on the ability to be present, even without saying anything. Silence shared in moments of difficulty, or even in moments of joy, can be a very strong bond between friends. When you share silence with a friend, you are demonstrating that you do not need words to connect. This kind of friendship is rooted in genuine sharing of moments, whether joyful or difficult. Instead of filling the void with empty conversations, silence allows the friendship to be more authentic and true. Moreover, in times of crisis or pain, silence can be one of the most powerful forms of support. It is not always necessary to find the right words to comfort a friend who is suffering. Sometimes, the simple act of being present in silence can be more comforting than any advice or gesture. Silence as a means of avoiding unnecessary conflicts. Silence can also be an effective tool in preventing conflicts. In moments of frustration or anger, the tendency is to react immediately with impulsive words, often exacerbating the problem. However, silence creates the opportunity to pause and reflect before responding. This allows the people involved in the conflict to calm down and think more clearly, avoiding harsh or misunderstood words that could aggravate the situation. By practicing silence during moments of tension, we are demonstrating self-control and respect for the other. Instead of yielding to the temptation to argue or defend ourselves, silence allows us to seek a calmer and more rational approach. This pause can be crucial in transforming a discussion into a constructive conversation. Silence as a way to respect another's space. Finally, silence is also a way to respect another's space in a relationship. Sometimes, people around us need time alone to process their own thoughts and emotions. Instead of forcing communication or interaction, silence offers respect for another's need to be at peace with themselves. In the family environment or in romantic relationships, it is essential to understand that verbal communication is not always necessary. Sometimes, the greatest gesture of respect is simply giving the other space to be. This respect for another's silence strengthens trust and intimacy, creating a more balanced and harmonious relationship. In summary, silence has the power to profoundly transform our relationships. By practicing it, we can improve our listening, deepen our emotional connections, and avoid unnecessary conflicts. Silence is not just an absence of words. It is an active presence of patience, empathy, and respect for the other. By incorporating more silence into our relationships, we can cultivate healthier, more understanding, and more truthful communication. How silence improves our practical and material life. Silence is not only a tool for deepening our spiritual life or improving our personal relationships, it also has a profound impact on how we deal with the more practical and material aspects of life. In a world where we are constantly bombarded with stimuli, from work demands to financial pressure, silence offers a necessary space for us to reflect and make more balanced and conscious decisions. By creating moments of quietness, we can align our daily actions with the values we most cherish, promoting not only inner peace, but also a more prosperous and balanced life. Silence as a way to improve productivity. In a productivity-oriented society, where we constantly feel pressured to do more, be faster, and always be busy, silence may seem counterintuitive. However, contrary to what many people think, moments of silence can actually increase our productivity. When we take time to be silent, we allow our minds to rest and recover, helping us approach tasks and responsibilities with more clarity and focus. Silence acts as a mental pause, giving the brain the opportunity to reorganize its ideas and recharge its energy. Instead of continuing to work in a state of mental exhaustion, silence provides an energetic recharge that allows us to work more efficiently and with greater creativity. When we step away from information overload and constant noise, we can give full attention to our tasks, avoiding mistakes caused by haste or distraction. Silence and conscious financial decision-making. Silence can also be a crucial tool in making wiser financial decisions. The financial world is full of quick choices and often conflicting advice. When we are immersed in this whirlwind of information and external influences, it is difficult to make decisions that truly meet our long-term needs. Silence, however, offers the necessary space to reflect on our finances without external pressures. By practicing silence and introspection, we can perceive where we are spending unnecessarily, what we really need, and where we can invest more wisely. Silence allows us to step out of reactive mode and put ourselves in a place of greater control and discernment. Instead of making financial decisions based on impulses or comparisons with others, we can make more grounded decisions based on our own goals and values. Moreover, moments of silence help eliminate financial stress. By learning to quiet down and wait before making impulsive decisions, we can avoid the cycle of anxiety and debt that often arises from lack of planning and careful reflection. Silence invites us to develop a healthier and more balanced relationship with money, where inner peace becomes a priority, not the pressure of immediate consumption. Silence, and work-life balance. Modern society is obsessed with productivity, and this often leads to an imbalance between work and personal life. We are always running from one commitment to another, trying to meet deadlines and meet others' expectations while neglecting our own mental and emotional health. Silence offers a necessary pause to assess whether we are truly living according to our priorities. By practicing moments of silence in daily life, we can reassess our professional and personal choices. Silence helps us perceive whether we are being driven by external pressures or if we are truly making choices that promote our long-term well-being and happiness. This space for reflection helps us establish healthy boundaries between work and rest, allowing us to recharge our energies effectively. Moreover, silence is a reminder that we do not need to be busy all the time to be productive or successful. Quietness and reflection allow us to make wiser decisions about where to allocate our time and energy, balancing our professional responsibilities with our need for rest and family connection. Silence and the stress of modern life. Stress is one of the biggest threats to our physical and mental health, and it arises when we are constantly bombarded with tasks, expectations, and pressures of modern life. Silence is a powerful response to stress. When we create spaces for silence, we are essentially disconnecting from the frenetic cycle of stimuli and allowing ourselves to breathe. This distancing from noise and daily rush can help restore mental, emotional, and physical balance. By seeking moments of silence, we can significantly reduce the feeling of overload and anxiety. This mental reset allows us to return to our daily lives with a clearer vision and a greater sense of inner peace. Silence also helps lower cortisol levels, the stress hormone, improving our physical health over time. Silence, then, is not just a spiritual practice, but also a practical way to deal with the pressures of everyday life. It teaches us to slow down and give space for the mind to process and recover, creating a more balanced life, less susceptible to stress. Silence as a source of creativity. Creativity often flourishes when we can silence external voices and listen to our own inner voice. In a world saturated with influences and opinions, silence offers the necessary space for new ideas to emerge. In moments of quietness, our minds can connect with creative solutions that would otherwise be muffled by constant noise. Whether at work, in a personal project, or even in solving everyday problems, silence can unlock our creative capacity and help us find innovative approaches. By practicing silence, we allow our minds to open to new possibilities and solutions. Instead of reacting immediately and without reflection, silence gives us the necessary time to think deeply and consider various perspectives before acting. Silence and inner peace. Amidst daily tasks. Finally, silence can be a powerful tool for cultivating inner peace even in the simplest tasks. When we are busy with household chores, managing the home, or even small daily responsibilities, we can easily get lost in the routine and feel overwhelmed. Silence, however, can transform these activities into moments of meditation and reflection, where we find peace in the simple act of being present. By slowing down and being silent while performing daily tasks, we can experience a sense of gratitude and connection with the present moment. This state of inner peace, generated by silence, helps us face even the most trivial tasks with more calmness and less frustration. In summary, silence is not just a spiritual practice, but also a tool that can profoundly improve our practical and material life. By incorporating moments of silence into our daily lives, we can improve our productivity, make more conscious financial decisions, balance our work and personal life, reduce stress, stimulate our creativity, and find peace in daily tasks. Silence allows us not only to live more balanced, but also to thrive in all aspects of life. The impact of silence on our physical health and well-being. Silence is not only a tool for our spiritual and emotional life, it also plays a crucial role in our physical health and well-being. In a world where stress, anxiety, and mental overload are becoming increasingly common, practicing silence is one of the most effective ways to promote healing and disease prevention. By slowing down, we distance ourselves from external stimuli and create a space of rest that allows the body and mind to recover and renew. Silence and stress. Reduction. Stress is one of the biggest threats to modern health, with consequences that can manifest both emotionally and physically. Heart disease, hypertension, digestive problems, and sleep disorders are just some of the conditions associated with high stress levels. Constant noise and daily demands only intensify this cycle. Silence, on the other hand, offers a powerful antidote. Scientific studies show that moments of quietness can significantly reduce cortisol levels, the stress hormone. By practicing silence, we give our bodies an opportunity to relax and recover from daily pressure. This happens because silence helps interrupt the cycle of accelerated thoughts and intense emotions, creating a space of calm that allows hormonal balance to be restored. As a result, our autonomic nervous system, responsible for regulating vital body functions, can enter a state of rest and recovery. Moreover, by reducing cortisol levels, silence can also help improve sleep. Constant stress often impairs sleep quality, but by allowing ourselves moments of silence before bedtime, we can calm the mind, promoting deeper and more restorative sleep. Silence and immune system. Strengthening. One of the areas most impacted by continuous stress is the immune system. When we are under constant pressure, our bodies tend to enter a state of alertness, which can weaken our natural defenses and increase our vulnerability to diseases. Silence, however, can reverse this process, helping to strengthen the immune system. By practicing silence and consequently reducing stress levels, we allow our bodies to recover and regenerate more effectively. This happens because stress reduction favors the production of chemicals that help fight infections and inflammations. Moreover, silence can increase the production of endorphins, hormones that promote a sense of well-being and simultaneously strengthen immune functions. In an era where autoimmune diseases and other inflammatory conditions have become more common, creating spaces for silence in our daily lives can be a way to prevent and even treat health conditions holistically and without medication. Silence as a stimulus for cellular regeneration. The deep rest provided by silence also has a significant impact on our cellular regeneration. The human body performs many of its repair and renewal functions during rest periods. When we allow ourselves moments of quietness, we are creating the ideal conditions for the body to recover from physical and mental fatigue. Silence acts as a trigger for cellular regeneration because it promotes a state of deep relaxation, essential for the body's healing process. During silence, oxygen levels in cells increase, allowing better absorption of nutrients and elimination of toxins. This results in renewed energy, increased resilience, and even reduced chronic pain. Moreover, silence contributes to the reduction of inflammation in the body, which is the root of many chronic diseases. By decreasing the factors that cause inflammation, such as stress, silence facilitates the healing process and reduces the burden on the body's systems. Silence and mental health improvement. In addition to physical benefits, silence also has a transformative effect on our mental health. In a constantly noisy world, with information and opinions coming from all sides, our minds can become saturated and exhausted. Silence, in this context, offers an essential pause for us to reorganize our thoughts and emotions. Regular practice of silence can help reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression. By temporarily withdrawing from the whirlwind of external stimuli, we give our minds the chance to re-centralize and recompose. Moments of silence also help decrease mental rumination, one of the main factors contributing to anxiety. Scientific studies indicate that the practice of meditation, which often involves silence, can help reduce symptoms of depression by increasing the activity of brain areas responsible for emotional well-being. Silence creates the perfect environment for self-reflection and introspection, allowing us to access deep emotions and thoughts that would otherwise remain muffled. Silence and longevity. The impact of silence on our health and well-being can also influence our longevity. By reducing stress levels and improving cellular regeneration, silence contributes to healthier aging. This happens because it helps reduce risk factors associated with heart disease, diabetes, and other conditions that accelerate the aging process. Moreover, silence can improve brain health, preventing neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's and dementia. Studies show that activities promoting silence, such as meditation and mindfulness, can increase brain plasticity and improve cognitive functions, keeping the mind sharp and young for longer. In a society where stress-related diseases are becoming increasingly prevalent, silence emerges as a simple yet extremely effective practice for promoting a long and healthy life. By adopting silence as part of our routine, we are investing not only in the present, but also in a more balanced and healthy future. Silence and the body in harmony. Finally, silence is a powerful tool for promoting harmony between body and mind. Instead of allowing modern life to divide us between multiple responsibilities and pressures, silence calls us back to our essence, reconnecting us with what truly matters. When we are silent, we can feel the body, perceive the tensions and blockages that may be affecting our physical and emotional health. This alignment between body and mind is essential for maintaining lasting balance. Silence allows us to perceive when our body needs rest, when the mind needs focus, and when emotions need release. It teaches us to listen to our own body's messages, helping us make decisions that promote holistic health. In summary, silence is one of the most powerful tools we have to promote our physical and mental health. By incorporating moments of silence into our lives, we can reduce stress, strengthen the immune system, improve sleep, increase cellular regeneration, and promote longevity. Silence is not just a rest for the mind, but a true gift of healing for the body. By practicing it regularly, we can achieve a healthier and more lasting balance between the physical, emotional, and spiritual.